I started with Troon in 2000. I joined them after 12 years of being in Germany, right next door to Warner Brothers Studios in Leavesden, where Harry Potter was made. I came into India just as COVID was in full swing. COVID was the best thing that ever happened to this property from an investment standpoint.
So what's the highest price villa right now in Golfshire?
I believe it's 42 crore.
42 crores.
Yeah.
Man, that's insane.
Yeah.
And that everything happened post-COVID.
Correct. The biggest issue, I think, for your older established clubs in India is that there's no tee time availability.
I want to know, as a golfer, right, what do you think is the most important thing for any amateur golfer to keep in mind when they're playing a tournament round?
Play within your capabilities. If they have a handicap of, say, 15 or 16, use those 15 or 16 shots.
How does a bad day at work look like?
Bad days are generally torrential rain where especially if it's a Saturday or Sunday, and it wipes out all your revenue. I've been playing golf for 59 years. It's been a lifelong game for me.
So since how many years have you been playing golf?
This is going to scare you. I've been playing golf for 59 years.
59. So I don't want to ask your age though there.
Well, I started when I was 3, so it's not hard to work out.
Oh, we know the math. So
Yeah. So it's been a lifelong game for me. Both my parents played, all of my uncles played. Where I grew up, golf is very accessible. So
where's that?
Well, up until I was 8 years old, I lived on the north coast of Ireland. And then when I was 8, my parents moved to Australia. And then I spent the rest of my time up until I was 18 in Australia. So.
How's the Australian golf scene been?
Very, very strong. It's always been, for the size of our population, we produce a lot of world-class golfers.
And how many golf courses are there in that country?
There's just over 1,700 golf courses. Which, for the size of the population, is very good.
Right.
But when you compare it then to Florida, also has 1,600 golf courses. So, or you look at somewhere like Japan. Japan has 3,500 golf courses.
Wow.
So, it's very, very different, but very, very accessible, very affordable. And of course, Australia has the famous sand belt. The courses like Royal Melbourne, Kingston Heath, Metropolitan, Victoria, Yarra Yarra, which are all in one area in Melbourne and famous all around the world for these courses. And of course, Royal Melbourne just hosted the Australian Open a couple of weeks ago. Rory played in that, and Cam Smith and Adam Scott, etc. So,
sure. So, you've worked in multiple countries with Troon being part of it, right? So, tell us a little bit about your working experience with these golf courses.
So, I started with Troon in 2000. I joined them after 12 years of being in Germany. And I joined Troon in 2000, and originally I joined in the Australian office.
Okay.
And I was in Australia for only 12 months when we decided that Troon was going to set up its operations in Dubai also.
Okay.
So I was involved in the operations originally in Dubai with the Montgomery golf course.
Okay.
I then came back to Australia after a 12-month stint in Dubai.
Okay.
And then was in Australia for a couple of years and moved to our international office in Geneva in Switzerland, where I was looking after looking after 32 courses in Europe, Middle East, Africa. So, and I was a couple of years there before I headed to London and was based at the Grove in London, which was where the WGC was in 2006.
Okay.
And it's held multiple tour events since then. So the Grove is a very similar property to this, 385 room, 5-star property, home of the England football team. When they're playing at Wembley, they stay at the Grove, train at the Grove, and home of the NFL in London as well. So whatever, one of the two teams that are playing NFL in London also stay at the Grove. And 18-hole championship golf course, very, very busy in summer with corporate golf. And an exclusive hotel right next door to Warner Brothers Studios in Leavesden, where Harry Potter was made. So during my 3 years at the Grove, I had a lot of interaction with the actors and crew from Harry Potter and Warner Brothers, and obviously with the NFL, the FA with the England football team, and obviously the golf as well. So, and after that, in 2012, I went back to Australia with Troon. And again, I was in an operations role looking after multiple properties. And then in my last 2 years in Australia, I was at Brookwater Golf Club, a Greg Norman designed property that's been with Troon since its inception and opening. And I was there for 2 years when the position came up here. And I came into India just as COVID was in full swing. The first probably 8 months I was here was a little, it wasn't normal. Things were a little irregular, but it was an interesting time to come in, because basically it allowed us to start from scratch, because we saw such a dynamic change post-COVID. And golf worldwide has seen a dynamic change post-COVID. So, it's been interesting what's transpired since COVID. And funnily enough, I was reading an article yesterday about golf residential worldwide and how it has boomed post-COVID. Now, pre-COVID, we were seeing a downturn, especially in the US and Australia, in golf residential properties, and the demand for membership, if you like, at these properties. And that was pre-COVID. Now, post-COVID, it's done a total flip. And now your better golf properties, especially properties like this one, the demand is very high. But it's for properties and membership. But we're seeing, we're seeing this everywhere worldwide. The trend has certainly changed post-COVID. And hence the reason that there is 4 more golf courses on the drawing board with Prestige. One in Chennai, one in Hyderabad, one in Lonavala, and of course Goa, which is the one that's creating the most interest currently. I'm surmising here or assuming, but I would think that probably the villas in Goa will sell out in 2 months.
And that's a big, massive plan for Golfshire, the Prestige Group, because if you're expanding across these places, you'll have the hubs across these cities, which means a lot of international incoming golfers also can get to play good golf courses, because right now we're limited with very few international standard golf courses in India. What do you think of that?
Well, we are. I mean, we have the likes of DLF and RCGC and Oxford, ourselves. Then you have Kalha, and I guess if JP Greens and ITC, some of these courses, they're also of international standard. The biggest issue, I think, for your older established clubs in India is that there's no tee time availability. Right. So from an international perspective, it's very hard for international guests. Say if they're visiting Bangalore, they really only have options outside the city. So it's Prestige Golfshire, then Clover Greens, and maybe Zion, although it's quite a drive. Now, international tourists, as a rule, when they come and they find a base, they'll want to play
2 or 3 courses.
Correct. Yeah. So they want to play 2 or 3 golf courses. They don't want to travel 2 hours.
Too much,
right? So they don't want to be sitting in a taxi or whatever the case may be for 2 or 3 hours to get to the golf course, and then the same on the way back. So I guess we are ideally situated because from the north side, from let's say from BGC, you know, if you get a run, the worst case scenario is going to be 1 hour.
1 hour. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so that's a big advantage for us. Obviously, the standard of this golf course is quite exceptional. I mean, for Fez Rezwan to have the vision to build this golf course from the get-go and to what it's growing into be today is, you know, it's a hell of a vision. And you know, most people that visit here from international countries, you know, and especially the cricketers, we see all the IPL cricketers during the IPL season. They all come in and they go, can't believe this is India. You know,
True.
you know, you know, the golf course is fantastic, the view's exceptional, you know, the property has a feeling of, you know, you could be in Spain or Morocco or, you know, where all of these other, you know, Dubai, you know, so I would, some of the cricketers, when they're here during the IPL season, they'll fly down for a day. They'll come in the morning, play golf, fly back in the evening, because they really don't, again, they don't have the options where they're based. You know, if you're based in, especially Chennai, there's nowhere for them to play. And then Hyderabad, they've got Boulder Hills or HGA, but Pat Cummins and Travis Head and these guys, they're coming in here to play for a day and going back out. And, you know, and we're seeing now, because we have the hotel, we're seeing more and more FITs. So, so travelers that are doing their own bookings, etc. They're not coming in groups, but they're coming in, they're staying, they want to play 1 or 2 days of golf. And that can be anything from, you know, they're US based, British based. We had an Australian group in just recently. So we're seeing all these different people come in from different places in the world, but mostly FITs. So there's no one really doing great golf packages into India. We've just done some advertising. We've done it every year for the last 3 years in a magazine in the UK, which it's a free magazine about golf travel that goes to about 1,400 golf clubs in the UK. And we've, you know, people have said, oh, we saw it on your, you know, this ad in the UK and whatever the case may be. And so hence when we're coming to India, we wanted to play some golf. Most of those people are actually Indian expats living in the UK, coming back for family reasons or whatever the case may be. And they're playing golf in the UK. They wanted to play while they're here. So obviously the golf outbound industry in India is very strong. We're seeing golfers going to Thailand, Vietnam, Dubai. It was especially Dubai, Japan. You know, golf trips that we work with the Masters Series, they do a lot of outbound golf tours. You know, and so, but you know, anywhere within sort of that 4.5, 5 hour flight time,
direct flights,
direct flights, we're seeing a lot of people focusing on that. So
I feel, like you said, the vision is set by the Prestige, but the execution is actually done by the management. And you are the GM of Golfshire, and there's a lot of hard work that goes behind it. We see the flawless, amazing golf course experience to play. But today's idea is to ensure that we get to hear the story behind the hard work that you've put in. Because when you play a good golf course like this, you really don't know the work behind it, and I wanted that conversation to be there. How about we play a round and then probably have a conversation while we...
Absolutely. Okay, let's do that.
Let's do that. I want to know, as a golfer, right, what do you think is the most important thing for any amateur golfer to keep in mind when they're playing a tournament round?
Play within your capabilities. It's, you know, we see so many golfers trying to do things that really are not in their talent spectrum, if you like. So, and especially what you'll find is if someone's playing golf with someone that hits it much further than they do, all of a sudden their rhythm, you know, just goes out the window, and they're trying to keep up with the people they're playing with. And I think, you know, golfers have to understand, and especially, you know, let's talk about 12 plus handicappers, which is most of the golfers, is that they have to play within their capability. They have to understand that if they have a handicap of, say, 15 or 16, use those 15 or 16 shots. Right? Don't try and, you know,
go aggressive or too much.
I had someone say to me recently, someone that's only been playing golf for 2 years, oh, I only had 5 pars today. And I went, that's amazing. I said, you should be so happy with 5 pars. But, they're expecting that they should.
Are very high.
Well, they want to par every hole. And I mean, I try to explain to them, that's not even going to happen at professional level. So it's staying within your expectation and, making sure that you're not trying to score, more than you're capable of.
Right.
So that's really, really important. That's very...
Oh, it's a great point. I think, tell us a little bit about when you took up the Golfshire as a project in 2020 when the COVID happened. Tell us, what was the expectation like? What did you envision for the course? Because as golfers in Bangalore, we now have an international golf destination, right? And we are very happy with the experience. But tell us, what was your expectation and how did you go about doing what you have done for the last 5 years?
Well, firstly, you need to understand that from my position here, I have an ownership group to answer to, and the person that I answer to within the ownership group is Mr. Fez Rezwan. And so, we sit down on an annual basis, but we actually sit down on a bi-weekly basis, but we sit down on an annual basis, look at our budgets, look at our revenue streams, how are we going to increase them, what do we need to do differently, and then we look obviously at our expenditure as well, because that's something that we have to make sure that we keep in check and it doesn't grow bigger than our revenue streams. So we have a business plan, and our business plan is very important to us. Now, when I got here in 2020, our round numbers were, at a certain number, and then the vision was that we would get those numbers much higher, to basically where we were at, 85% of our utilization. As you well know, Saturday, Sundays here, we're 100% utilization. But on, especially Wednesday, Thursday, we don't quite hit that number. So we have availability, tee time availability, where we can sell tee times all day, basically. So ideally, you want to have that flexibility, especially, now with corporate golf. There's more and more corporate golf happening in India. So we're really trying to move our corporate golf into our Wednesday, Thursday, Friday slot, because number one, it becomes much more affordable for the corporates, which is really important. But it's also then, it gives us that freedom where I don't have another 100 people going, I want to play behind them or, after them, whatever the case may be. So managing the traffic flow and the number of rounds that we do is very, very important. And obviously it has an effect on the golf course too. You don't want to be, getting to a point where your rounds is affecting the overall aesthetic, value of the golf course. Right. So there's lots of things to consider. But it all starts off with what's the vision for the year? What's the where is your business plan? Which directions is it taking you? Obviously, the last 18 months, we've done a lot of work on our clubhouse and our facilities, upgrading everything. So that sort of held us back a little bit, in as much as we're not operating to our full potential. But with the driving range coming online in March next year, and everything basically will be finished by then, including the new golf shop and the one more function area. Our clubhouse is now stunning. It's absolutely amazing. We've got over 120 more seats on our terraces and bar area. And we've already seen an uptake in business since we've reopened. So I mean that's a huge bonus for us. And I think again it's something that the owners are very good at doing. The Prestige Group and Mr. Irfan and Fez, they can see where the revenue can grow, and as much as we can. But they weren't scared to invest into
taking those decisions. Was easy for them because they knew this would work for them. Especially
long term. I mean, And you only have to look at the villa values here at Golfshire.
Absolutely.
From where they started and where they are now. It's
So what's the highest price villa right now in Golfshire?
I believe it's 42 crore.
42 crores.
Yeah.
Man, that's insane.
Yeah.
And that everything happened post-COVID.
Correct.
So what seemed to be a challenge for most became like an opportunity for golf industry, for real estate industry, because people wanted more space.
Correct.
And this is a beautiful space for someone to come live and work from.
Correct.
So,
And when I got here in August 2020, there was still, I think, 105 villas for sale.
okay.
Right. And within 12 months of that, there was nothing left.
Nothing left. Now people are waiting, but there's no piece of land.
Well, there's now demand. And it's got to a point where it's an aspirational investment.
Sure.
People are basically saying, I don't care what it costs. I want to
buy one.
I
yes.
want to own a golf, a house on that golf course. So, I know the first few years for Prestige here were tough.
True.
But it's, and I've said to many people, COVID was the best thing that ever happened to this property from an investment standpoint.
Sure.
But, and we saw in 2022 the Marriott came online.
Right.
And that the Marriott is doing phenomenal business.
Sure.
From conferencing and weddings, etc.
Yeah.
And its leisure business, its leisure business is sort of curtailed a little bit by the amount of wedding and conference business it's doing, but it's exceptional. And I mean the standard of the rooms is
Amazing,
fantastic.
absolutely. I think it also has to do with the management thinking, right? Because, like you said, things were not that great before, but because they held on to the belief that this would one day pay off, and today you see the reaps and the benefits that are coming out of it. So, I think golf also. Do you think there's a parallels to it in terms of just stay in the game? If you believe in yourself, it's a 18-hole long game. Is it something that you believe, or how is it like?
Well,
How do you approach life in golf in general?
Well, I think, I'm working with a couple of young elite players in India at the moment. And, one of the things I say to them is that they have to stay focused and understand where their end goal is.
True.
And I'm very fortunate to, spend a little bit of time with Pranaviewers, and I've got a young lady at the moment, Karetha, who's a very, very good young player, still an amateur, but very, very good. But needs a little bit of direction, or with help with her direction and where she should be focusing, and then of course I'm helping a little bit with Varun Muttappa and a couple of other kids. But my main goal with them is their focus and how they approach the game, their practice, how they approach their play and their strategy on a golf course. And in this day and age, we get very tied up in technology, and unfortunately you can't take the technology onto the golf course and it doesn't hit the golf ball for you.
With the ball, yeah.
You still have to hit the ball. So I try to tell them that it should be 5% of their total game. Don't get hooked up, with whether it's GC Quad or TrackMan or whatever the case may be. Don't get too hooked up on the numbers and the data, because at the end of the day, if I'm playing Golfshire today and it's 27 degrees and I've got a light breeze, and if I'm someone like Varun Muttappa, he can hit it 320 yards off the tee. If I take him to the same length golf hole and drop him in Scotland and it's the same length, he's probably going to hit it 260 off the tee.
Right.
So everything he knows about length and everything else, it's just gone out the window.
True.
So you need to be, you need to understand these things, understand how you're going to reset your strategy and your focus for the day. And that's one of the big things. And one of the things that makes Pranavi so successful is she's a great thinker around the golf course, and is able to, focus and be very single-minded about what she's doing. Even in her practice, she's like that.
Right.
So, it's her focus is very important. And I was just explaining to a young player this morning, I said, have switch on and switch off points.
Right.
You know, it can be as simple as when you get to the ball, as soon as you do the Velcro up on your glove, that's your switch on. Hit your shot, undo it, that's your switch off. Okay, so because you don't want to be obviously 4.5 hours just
thinking
in a tunnel.
Right.
But the strategy and the focus is so important. True. It's not just about length, and I really do get a little bit upset when these kids start talking about club head speed, ball spin, this and that, and then I go, well, you know, and in all honesty, you know, I've been playing with ping equipment for 37 years.
Okay.
And I've never ever been on a launch monitor.
No,
because I know from whatever shaft that they're going to put me into or recommend, I'm looking for feel and ball flight. Okay, feel first. It has to feel at impact. It has to feel right. But then from a ball flight perspective, I know which ball flight I want to have. Right. And if I can get those two things, then it's fine. I'm set.
Perfect.
You know, but I hear so much stuff from, you know, shaft weights and and, you know, club head speed and all of that. And club head speed's important.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that if you're at 105, you need to get to 115.
True. Okay,
because, you know, what's going to happen to your dispersion rate? What's going to happen to this or that? And that's what I'm seeing in a lot of the young guys. They're too concentrated on numbers and data rather than working
the
just
and the game itself.
Yeah.
How about we actually get on the course and just have a feel of the round and then have a chat?
Good luck with that.
So Declan, I've had an amazing chat with you, but I want to know, how does a bad day at work look like? So tell us a little bit challenges that you face, because everything looks so perfect here. If there's a bad day that you have to share with us and the challenges that you face.
Well, I think, you know, weather plays a huge part in our business. So bad days are generally torrential rain where especially if it's a Saturday or Sunday, and, you know, it wipes out all your revenue. Or if it's a corporate golf day, you know, so that's a bad day because, you know, it really does affect your revenue streams. But, you know, there can be other factors, you know, where we have, you know, time to time we have things or, you know, incidents that happen with the golf course itself, where we may get a blowout with a water main or with irrigation systems. You know, and anytime anything like that happens, there's always a cost involved.
Right.
And, you know, so trying to manage those costs and keep them capped is really, you know, one of the biggest things, the biggest challenges that we face from a day-to-day operation. So what we're trying to do is we're making sure that all of these working components are maintained exceptionally well,
right,
and are looked after so that we don't have that huge capital expense or repair bill to fix these things. But, you know, when something does go wrong, or say a pump blows or something, you know, you can be looking at 45 lakh cost to replace it, and sure, you know, that sort of, all of a sudden you go, well, oh my God, there goes, you know, so much revenue. So. But it's, you know, they're the things that you have to plan for as well.
Right.
You know, we have a thing called an aging product list, and we sort of know, like with certain things, that at this point in their life, they're of no more use to us, or they're going to break down.
Right.
So we have to be ready for that and have that capital expenditure program in place. And we're very fortunate in that, you know, this business operates very well. And we have some revenue to reinvest into the business from a CapEx perspective. Obviously, the ownership has, you know, put a lot of money in from a CapEx perspective on the upgrade of the clubhouse and the renovation of the clubhouse and the new driving range, which will open in March. So, I mean, there's a lot of money being spent on that. Now, there's also reasons behind that. We want to attract international tournaments to Golfshire. And these are the type of things that we really needed to do so that, you know, when these international players and, you know, players from the US or Europe come here, they're going, wow, this is just like, you know, a country club in the US or, you know, or the top rated golf course in Europe, which is what we are.
True.
So, you know, and that's the goal behind this is not just for tournaments, but to take this to a level where, you know, we really do sit at the top of the chain.
Perfect. So I think you see a lot of HNIs, ultra HNIs, corporates, and a lot of people who come in because of the hospitality and everything. Who is the toughest to handle in your experience when they come here?
Once they're here, it's never really that tough, to be honest. It's the negotiations that happen before they get here. That's always the, you know, oh, but you know, we can go here and we can get it for this price. Well, okay, but you're comparing apples and oranges, you know, and so, you know, and we get to the point where, you know, we have a threshold where we go, we're not moving below that point.
Right.
So if they want to go somewhere else, then, you know, obviously we do everything we can to keep them, but you know, that's about the hardest thing dealing with any of these corporates or groups, etc. But the ones that have been here on a rolling basis, they're not leaving.
True.
Okay, because they know they can't get what they get here anywhere else.
True.
So, you know, and again, it comes back to the service quality has to be very good.
True.
You know, we've reinvested in our golf carts quite heavily.
True.
You know, and we've got 90 new lithium-powered golf carts from EasyGo, and you know, so that type, again, you've got to keep reinvesting in your property and making sure that the service delivery is there.
That's good.
And that's exactly what the Prestige Group have done.
Declan, as a GM of Golfshire, so tell us from the Indian context, what do you think India is lacking in terms of the game to grow, or probably the golf courses? What are they missing right now?
Well, firstly, we have no national academy, if you like. So when you look at the United Kingdom, Australia, even Singapore now has a national golf academy. We don't have any pathway development program for juniors. We don't have that pathway or development program for elite players, so elite amateur players. So really, one of the things that we have to look at, and I had a very funny conversation, or not funny, but a very poignant conversation with an IPL player. We were driving back into the city one night after he had played golf here, and we drove past a paddock on the way back on the flyover, and there's like 25 kids playing cricket there.
Okay.
And he looked down and he said, how many of those kids do you think would be half decent at golf if they had the opportunity? Now, obviously, you know, it's one of those things that we have to look at how at least we can give that opportunity to some form of the population, because to be honest, I would say 97% of the Indian population has no way to access golf.
True.
So we need to look at that. We've been very fortunate this year because we've had 4 really good events in India.
Yeah.
And as you know, we spoke about it at the GIA this year, but we've had obviously the Hero Indian Open at DLF. We had the International Series at DLF. We had the Women's Indian Open at DLF. And then we had the League Golf Club, the European Open, the DP Tour. Yeah. So that event was obviously huge because of the field they got, and it was straight after the Ryder Cup, and it generated the Ryder Cup alone generated so much interest in it. And then you had Luke Donald, Rory, Shane Lowry, Tommy, and I think there was one more I'm missing. Oh, Ben Griffin was there, and I think there was one more from the US side was playing as well. Anyway, but that was huge for Indian golf. True. Now the question is, how do we keep that momentum? Right. Now, our plan is next year we will have a very similar event here, and obviously the Indian Open's not going anywhere. Right. Nor is the Women's Indian Open. So, and DP Tour have basically said that that event will stay in Delhi at least for another 2 years. So, that's great. And now we've got the IGPL. True. And we've got the Asian Tour coming in. So just recently, I think 2 weeks ago, we had the Asian Tour event up in Gujarat.
Gujarat, yes.
And then you have the IGPL, and the very clever thing that the IGPL have done is they've moved it out of India.
True.
So,
Dubai
last week,
and now Sri Lanka.
yeah, so Dubai last week and, Sri Lanka this week. And that's very smart because what it'll attract back to India. And, I know most of the guys that attended it in Dubai from a spectator point of view, etc., are all Indian, expats living in Dubai, but are all crazy golfers. And there's plenty of them in Dubai, by the way. So,
Right.
but that's great for Indian golf.
Yes.
And, I know those guys with IGPL, they've also got this thing in the background called Bharat Golf.
Bharat Golf. Okay.
Yeah. And then, of course, you've got PGTI. And PGTI, I was speaking to Amandeep last week, and PGTI have just re-signed with the European Tour or DP Tour for another 10 years, which is awesome. So, there's that opportunity then for players from the PGTI to develop and, depending on, to go to the European Tour. And, that's a great pathway for them.
True.
But, again, I spoke to Amandeep about the very same thing is there's 120 guys or 140 guys on the PGTI. What about the ones that aren't there? So, they have this development tour, but, the other thing is there's not enough funding.
No. Yeah.
And again, with the girls, it's very much the same thing. The WGAI, which is the women's tour, they're only averaging 40 players.
True.
But they're having more success on getting those girls onto tours worldwide.
Yes.
So they're going onto the LET, and they're performing very well, and then obviously the LPGA as well. Didi's doing very well on LPGA, and we just have to, develop more players at that base level.
So you're saying the grassroots golf needs to grow with the more ranges and academies?
Yeah. And unfortunately, that's the problem. Where do we send them? I can't send them to BGC. The place is packed. It's got no driving range facilities. KGA driving range is very, very busy. Our driving range will open soon, but we'll have the same. And then you've got a place like To the Tee, just nearby from here, and it's probably not getting the full utilization that it should be getting.
True.
But again, how do you draw those kids in? How are you going to supply them with the right equipment that they need, etc.? So there's always, to try and lobby the government to give us money to promote golf's very hard because 0.007% of the population plays golf. So, how do you
convince them to
convince them?
some money? Yeah.
So it's not easy, but because it's an Olympic sport,
Yeah.
that is a big.
That's the only angle that we
Correct.
could
That's a
probably
big
go.
gateway for us. So we really have to work that. And then we have all our state golf bodies like Golf Karnataka that we have here.
Right.
And I sit on the committee of Golf Karnataka as well. And we're looking at ways that we can and BGC just had the Golf Olympics for the kids.
Yes.
Which is great. That's an awesome thing to do. And we've just had our Titleist Junior Series.
Yes.
Which you know about. So we've got to try and keep developing. We run 2 of those events a year. Titleist are very good sponsorship wise for us. And that's not about making money. That's about developing
Giving
golf.
back to the kids. Yeah.
Correct. That's about developing golf.
Yeah.
And our owners are they're very conscious of that. They want to be seen to be giving back and being, corporate, with their CSR programs and etc. So we need to make sure that we're leading, we're talking about it, we're conversing with people about how we can make this better for the younger generations that are going to come up. Because if you look at the average age of a golf club in India, it's 60 plus.
Okay.
On average age.
Right.
So, we have to, get rid of guys like me and get the younger guys in.
Come on, I think we need experience and the young guys both together probably.
Yeah.
I think, but we need to grow this with more infrastructure, like you rightly said, and also the grassroots development.
Yeah.
So let's go to the next tee shot and then continue our conversation. before we get to the final segment, I want to know, how do you build the team? How do you actually train your team to kind of deliver this best golf course experience that members get to play? So what's your, without burning out?
Yeah, well, I think firstly, we're very fortunate that we have the backing of Troon Golf, and then obviously of Prestige, because Prestige want to have the best people possible managing their facilities. So, 3 years ago, we had the opportunity to bring Ben McLean on board as our superintendent. Ben worked with me in Australia. I actually brought him to India to work at Delhi Golf Club initially, but Ben joined us, I think, at the end of 2022. And, he's for a superintendent, he's still young. He's, and only in his early 30s, but he's got a wealth of experience. And what's great about having someone like Ben is he's passionate. Right. He gets here very early in the morning, and he's here, late into the evening, and it's not easy because he has a wife at home and a newborn. So, but he's very, very dedicated and very passionate, and takes things personally. If something goes wrong on with the golf course, or we have something that happens with the course, he really takes it to heart, and that's important. You don't want it to get him down, but you want him, to have that passion and right. This is on me. I need to fix this. So he's exceptionally good like that. He gets a lot of backing from Clinton Southern, who heads up Troon Agronomy out of Dubai for right. the region, and he gets a lot of support from Fez as well. Fez is very good and understanding. I mean, we've just got a whole new Toro fleet this year, so this year's been the year of spending a lot of money to make sure that we keep the standard where it needs to be. Fez supports them wholeheartedly, as does Mr. Irfan. Keeping this golf course in pristine condition is really, really important. So having that team, I'm very, very lucky with our food and beverage team. Our head chef Manish is a genius.
True.
And there's nothing, I can say something to Manish about, have you looked at this? I'll send him recipes and stuff, and we have these conversations about, let's try this for a couple of weeks just as a special or whatever. And he's always open to change and looking at different ways of doing things. And our F&B is very, very popular. Right. It's very popular with our residents. It's very popular with our guests. And then, we have a good back of house team as well. So we have good accountants. We have who understand what I'm looking for, and I need to understand what my owners are looking for so that I can report correctly to them, which I do monthly. And we need to make sure that the data and information that I'm getting is correct and accurate, etc. So all of this, and again, your marketing team and your golf operations team, the golf operations team have to make sure that the course runs smoothly on a day-to-day basis. Sure. It's training. Right. Keeping them trained, having training cycles going all the time. Regular, yeah. And a lot of the time, because, things like caddies, you have the caddies changing. You might get 6 to 8 new caddies on a monthly basis. So you're having to retrain and make sure that they're getting trained by the other caddies. So all of these programs are in place. You've got to keep checking them. I've got a good HR department, and so I'm saying to them, are the training schedules in place? Is this in place? And we're very lucky with Troon Golf, just like with the Marriott, we have front and back of house manuals. Right. So, standard operating procedures and procedures and policies. And so we make sure that they're getting used to the extent that they can be, because obviously, what we take out of the US or internationally sometimes doesn't apply to the country we're in. Right. So, we may have to change things for India or Cambodia or Vietnam or Dubai or whatever the case may be. But also your laws change. So, from a foreigner, when we come to work somewhere like India, probably the thing that takes you 2 years to get your head around is, how things operate. Okay, because nothing operates the same in any country, believe me, and I've worked in enough countries to know that. So understanding that, and then building the trust of your clients. True. I mean, and that takes 3 years. True. So I've only probably just well, maybe the last 2 years come out of that period,
Right.
where people know who I am. They're not scared to approach me.
Right.
You know, so, you know, that alone. So, you know, if you're changing your general managers on a 2-year basis or whatever, it doesn't really work, because number one, they can't settle in. Number two, they can't build that rapport with the clientele. So that takes, and I was very lucky when I came to India. I mean, I'd been to India before, but I knew people like Brandon D'Souza. I'd known Brandon for 30 plus years, no longer.
Okay.
So,
Nice.
you know, that was beneficial. I know Jeev Milka Singh quite well. So I was very fortunate in that respect, but yeah, I mean, it takes, you know, and a lot of expats find it very hard to settle into Indian lifestyle or into the culture. I've traveled enough to know how to try and, you know, change my lifestyle to fit in. So that's been really, really important.
True.
You know, so, but you know, look, every day is different.
True.
And every day has new challenges, and you have to take those challenges on and look at the best way of dealing with them.
Perfect. Amazing. I think the best team, a good thumbs up to all the team members at Golfshire, because you're producing one of the best experience for golfers playing at this course.
Great.
So let's
Thank
get
you.
to the putting now.
There it is.
Oh, lovely good putt. Declan, on a final segment, just tell us a little bit about your Australian experience and family you were talking about.
Well, like I said before, I grew up in Australia. Went to high school, you know, finished my schooling in Australia before going to play college golf, and then after that, I played, you know, tour golf for a couple of years, and then ended up in Germany, like I said before. So I ended up back in Australia in 2000 with Troon. I've got 3 daughters, all living in Australia, age 26, 24, and 20.
Oh, okay.
So the 2 eldest girls have finished university. They're in the workforce. They're very independent and doing their own thing. And my youngest daughter's coming into her 3rd year of law at University of Queensland. So, so my kids are, you know, they're pretty self-sufficient. They do their own thing, but I see them, you know, hopefully I see them twice a year.
Okay.
Trying to get them to come here. They're very much orientated to wanting to go to Europe all the time and have holidays in Europe. So, but I see them at home in Australia, and I mean they're all doing exceptionally well in their fields where they're working. So, and the youngest one she's still got another 2 years of university left. But I miss them, they miss me, but you know, life goes on, and Dad's only a phone call away if there's some funds needed somewhere. So, but yeah, I'm very lucky. My kids are fantastic, and when we do get together, we have a great time.
Lovely. But somewhere I heard your car is an exception, because what's the story behind the car?
So my kids, a few years ago, it's about 2018, I think, I was playing Legends Tours, which is senior tournaments in Australia, and I actually ran one of the biggest events in Australia, the Mercedes tournament for senior, you know, the likes of Peter Senior, Ian Baker Finch, Wayne Grady, etc. Brian Jones, who won the Indian Open twice in the 70s. So all these guys play on what we call the Legends Tour, which is the plus 50s.
Right.
And it's you know, we play that tour because we love catching up and being somewhat competitive.
Okay.
But yeah, my kids said to me, we're at home, you know, having a barbecue like you do in Australia, and my daughter said, Dad, you know, why did you stop playing? You know, you didn't play long enough professional golf. And I said, oh, because I just couldn't putt. I said, you know, my putting was a disaster. I would have three putts in a round, and so anyway, I never really thought much about it. And that year for Christmas, I realized why they were asking me that question. And in Australia, we can get private number plates. And so I opened my Christmas present, which I couldn't work out what it was, but it didn't take very long. And the number plate has 3-putt on it. So now my car back home in Australia has the number plate Three-Putt. Yeah, and unfortunately, it's one of those things. You see it happen so much in golf, and golf. I don't really have the yips as such, but I just don't putt well. Okay. Tee to green, I'm fine. as you saw, I walked out of the office and put it down the middle of the fairway. That's not my weak point. My weak point is here.
Right.
And obviously, I've played 3 18-hole rounds since July this year.
Oh, that's it.
That's it. I just haven't had the time, with the clubhouse renovation and different things going on. I also look after Augusta. That takes time, and there's lots of things to get on with, and and during the renovation, making sure that the staff didn't get too down about everything that was going on, because they just didn't see an end to it.
Right.
But next year hopefully I'll get to play a little bit more golf. But it's been tough this year, but I'm looking forward to getting out a little bit more.
Lovely. On our Golf and Beyond, we have done maximum shows this season at Augusta or Golfshire. It's a beautiful course. Thank you so much for being on the show. Tell us a little bit about what you think of Golf and Beyond to our audience.
Please, it's a great opportunity to get some information about what's happening in Indian golf. Chetan's doing a great job in circulating his podcasts and the information that he gathers. So subscribe, like it on your YouTube channel. Please follow it. It's important. We need to grow this game, and Chetan's making sure that he does his part to grow the game.
True. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chetan.
It was fantastic having you on the show.
Okay.
Look forward. We have a small gift from partner Travis Matthew. Thanks so much for being on.
Thank you.